whether bathroom, anything like that. But then you have to think of the other things like, do you really want your kids helping you in and out of the bathtub? Do you really want your kids doing some things that they don't need to be doing? Let them be there for you emotionally and be there for you as part of the family. But, get that long-term care. Make sure you have that set up and you're prepared for it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't want to lose their independence.
Yeah.
And so, they are now looking at what it's costing for these policies, and it's very affordable, assuming that you don't wait until you've got issues, health issues. You don't wait until you're 75 or 80 to look into this. You typically start looking at this into your 50s, 60s, maybe early 70s. But if you're in good enough health, even in your early 70s, these policies are real doable, especially if you have an existing annuity or if you have an existing cash value life insurance policy. It can definitely be done.
And then you can choose better. You have much more choices. Say you want to go into an extended care facility. Well, you can choose one that's near your family. You can choose one that, best suits your needs. There's lots of them out there, and extended care facilities get a bad rap sometimes because not all of them are great. But there's a lot of them out there that are really good, and they take great care of, your loved ones. And a lot of these people really enjoy where they live. I've heard a lot of great success stories. There's some great ones here in the St. Louis area that, people enjoy. They wind up having a little bit more of a social life than they did when they were just, they're sitting at home eating, mac and cheese out of a microwave every night, feeding themselves. And then they, move into this extended care facility. And now they're playing bingo. They're hanging out with people.
Yeah, they have
cards.
activities.
They have activities, things for them to do that initially some of them are reluctant at first, but it winds up being something that they really, really look forward to.
Yeah, it's like having an apartment in a complex, because there's always an area in that complex where they can get together, watch TV together, play cards, play bingo, but then they still have their independent area where they can, study the Bible. A lot of them doing Bible studies. They might do that in their apartments. They're watching TV, just relaxing, but they can go out and be with the other, residents, and have activities. So, assisted living facilities have become very popular.
Yeah.
Nobody really wants to go into a nursing home, but most people don't mind the assisted living type facility.
Absolutely.
Because it is.
But if you're in the assisted living facility and then you need to go into a nursing home, you've got your long-term care. Yeah, there's a transition, but you've got all that worked out because you've already got your long-term care plans.
That's right.
In.
Yeah, most of these policies will not only pay for nursing home, but they also pay for assisted living. They also pay for home health care. As long as you can't do the 2 of the 6 daily activities of living, which are basically bathing yourself, feeding yourself, transferring, dressing, continence control, or bowel control. As long as you qualify for 2 of those, or you can do all 6, but you've been diagnosed with a cognitive impairment, whether it be dementia or Alzheimer's, these policies will pay. And, it's all going to be tax-free money. And that money can go to you to help pay for your care, or at least help pay for your care.
Right.
It may not pay for 100% of it, but it certainly takes at least some of the cost from having to come out of your pocket.
And again, who has an extra $6,000 to $10,000 a month?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And some people say, well, I'm going to let Medicare or Medicaid take care of me.
Medicare will only pay for a portion of the first 100 days. In order to qualify for Medicaid, you basically have to spend all of your assets down. And another thing is, if your parents live in one state, they can't go to another state and get Medicaid. They can only get in the Medicaid in the resident state where they live. So for children that might be in another state and they say, well, I'm just going to bring my mom or dad over here and I'll get them to qualify for Medicaid in this state, that's not going to work. It's only going to work in the state where the parents are the residents of. And so with the long-term care policies, you can go to any state.
Right.
Now, we're fortunate in Louisiana that we are one of the lowest cost long-term care facility states in the United States.
Wow.
We're like the fourth from the bottom as far as the cost. Because if you go up to the northeastern part of the country, it's not 8 or 10,000, it's 12 or 15,000
Right.
a month. In Louisiana, it's a lot less than that. It's closer to the maybe 5 to 7,000 per month. So it really depends on the facility, but certainly it's a whole lot less expensive in Louisiana than it is in most of the other states in the United States.
You're listening to Planning for the Future with our guest, long-term care advisor Brian Parker. For a free copy of Brian's book, call 800-274-9466.
Well, and again, to what you were talking about, not even just out of state. So say, your mother lives near you and she's going to go into a facility, but she's going to use Medicaid. Well, she doesn't have a choice of which one she's going to. They go wherever there's the open
That's
bed.
right. They have to have a Medicaid-approved facility.
There could be a beautiful facility 5 minutes from your house where you can visit your mother a couple times a week. Stop by if she needs something, anything. You can be there. But if it comes down to Medicaid and they need to put you wherever, it could be 2 hours away. It could be 3 hours away.
That's right.
A different part of the state. And, how often are you going to be able to visit then? Maybe once a month, maybe twice.
Right. That's right.
And
then a lot of people that are veterans, they go, well, the VA will take care of me. The problem is the waiting list at the VA for long-term care. You're not getting in the VA facility.
Right.
Because of the waiting list.
And again, you can use the veterans benefits and convert that into some tax-free money.
That's right.
That's a lot.
There's a lot of strategies that you can use. You've just got to learn what you can do and take advantage of the strategies that you're able to take advantage of. And for people that don't know, and most people don't know what these strategies are, that's where, a financial advisor like myself comes in, because we can look at their whole situation and we can put strategies together that will help meet, their needs at the same time, hopefully trying to get tax-free money to pay for these policies.
And that's why you wrote your book, right?
That's right.
Tax-free money
for long-term care.
Excellent.
That's right.
So, and educating it's so easy these days. They can get a copy of your book. They can, do their own research if they want to just find out how much things have changed and how much more of a benefit it is for them to get that plan. You want to get that long-term care planning done before you have to go into crisis planning.
Absolutely, because once you're in crisis planning, you're very limited on what you are even able to do. You've got to get this done ahead of time. And so, I do a lot of seminars. I meet with a lot of clients. I get a lot of referrals. And, meeting one-on-one with a financial advisor that knows this area, it's crucial.
And all it takes is just that first step. Getting started is the hardest part. But once you get over that hump and you learn that it's not scary, you guys aren't used car salesmen. You know what I mean?
That's right.
It's the way things have changed. You're bound by so many rules that you can't go through and, make these false claims, because it'll come back to haunt you.
Well, first of all, myself, I'm a fiduciary. I am required by law to do what's in the best interest of the client. So whether it's on the security side of my business or on the insurance or annuity side of my business, I am required by law to do what's in the best interest of my client. But we look at each situation in a macroeconomic approach. We look at everything. We want to make sure they have their wills together, powers of attorney together. All the legal documents have to be put together. Then we look and see what their assets are, try to figure out if there's some strategies that we can put together that will allow them to use some of those assets that can be used to convert into tax-free money to cover any long-term care costs or expenses. So it's kind of something they're going to have to educate themselves on, because most people really don't have a clue as to what they're even allowed to do.
Yeah, being a fiduciary is almost like being a financial doctor in a way.
I've never heard it that way, but I can see that's true.
But yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? It's instead of the Hippocratic oath, you've got that oath where it's like you're going to do the best for your patient. Your patient is, their financial health. You know,
It's true.
You're in charge of their financial health, which is these days is almost as important as your physical health. Because if you've got physical health, that's great. But if you don't have the greatest physical health, you better sure hope you have some good financial health going in there.
And as you said earlier, you know, people are living so much longer these days. It's not uncommon for people to make it well into their 90s. It doesn't mean that their last few years are going to be the greatest time to live. And that's where the long-term care insurance comes into play, in the fact that it's typically your last time on earth. Mm-hmm. And you want to try to make that as comfortable for yourself, not only physically, but as comfortable, financially as you can. So getting started before it becomes a crisis it's paramount.
And you can make changes. I mean, it's not like just because you're starting in, if you start in your 50s, you can make some changes, and you can, as your financial health grows or changes, you can make some changes with everything that you've got going on. And there's still ways that you can use that money that you're putting away, right?
Sure.
Yeah, you can use it
Absolutely.
beforehand.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to use it for long-term care. You can use it for other enjoyment purposes. But when it comes down to being able to use those assets for long-term care, the key to these assets is that money would be tax-free.
Right.
That's the difference.
Right. But your money is still open to you. It's not like something that's locked away and you can't touch it.
It's available.
If you need it, whether you want to use it for something in the near future, whether you want to help your grandkids with college or things like that, you can use that if need be. And the rest of it is still in there solid. And when it comes to the long-term care, you can create that into the tax-free money.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of people that are taking portions of their IRAs, that they feel like they want to leave some of their IRA to their children. Well, the worst asset your children want to inherit from you is your IRA because of the taxes. Mm-hmm. But if we can take a portion of that IRA, sometimes we can convert that into a strategy that would allow not only you to draw the money out tax-free, but will allow your children to receive money tax-free that could be, tax-free as a death benefit to them. But if you need it for long-term care, you can use it as a tax-free living benefit for you as well.
Well, and again, like we say, just get started. It's never too early, really, to get started. Even millennials, if you want to start in your 30s, there's so many good programs out there that even if you just start with a little bit and watch that grow.
You have to start at some point. The earlier, of course, the better. But I will tell you, most people are going to be in their 50s and 60s before they really get serious about it, because then those people are actually seeing their parents have these issues, and then they're going, oh, my goodness.
I better do something
because, unfortunately, my parents did not.
Right.
And so they're seeing what the costs really are.
Yeah, and then there's that point when you're growing, you kind of have that sense of mortality. Everybody sort of has that first sort of, like wow, that wow moment that gives you that sense of mortality, and then if you're lucky enough that you can have something like that, and still be healthy and fine and everything's okay with, and you make it through it, but it also gives you that note of, I don't know if I'm ready for this, and I've got this money. Let's make some of that work for me in other ways.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Whenever anyone calls the office and they say, do you all sell any type of long-term care package? My first question is, what's your age? Usually they're in their 40s or 50s. And my second question is, which of your parents is having issues right now? Because that's the trigger. Yeah. When it becomes real to them, they're going, wait a minute, this can happen. It's happening in my life. I'll tell you, my sister did not buy a long-term care policy until my mother got diagnosed with dementia. I already had one, but my sister didn't actually purchase one until it became a reality in her life. And that's when it happens with a lot of people.
Right. And even with someone like you that's probably saying, hey, there's some great great things out there. Why don't you put some money? Nah.
That's right.
That's for old people.
That's for another day down the road, right?
Exactly.
as you get older, that road becomes shorter and shorter,
Right. And they can learn some of these tips and tricks in your book, Tax-Free Money for Long-Term Care.
Yeah, it's a very informational book.
Good. And like we said, education is king.
It is.